Good afternoon, you all. I'm so happy to be here. I bring the voice for more than 200 organizations, and I will tell you in a while. Just put the presentation. So, before I start, I would like to ask you all to stand up, please. It's not an exercise to wake up, but we are standing up for the 3.8 million children that are out of school in Brazil. We are stand up here. We are so happy to be here with you all because we have this huge number. Because if you see the percentage, we say we almost universalize school, but 3.8 million children. So in a sign of commitment on behalf of the Brazilian campaign, you mean all of the children, and we are here to exchange and also count on us in everything, in every fight from you. Thank you very much. So every time we go to the field, we try to do this kind of commitments because it's so hard. The reality I saw here today in the morning, I mean, we cannot stay like, okay, there are numbers, statistics. So, and I will tell a little bit where I come from so you will understand. So I come from the Brazilian campaign for the right to education. We are a social movement. We have 16 years old of existence. Here, it's not so clear in the PowerPoint, but I have 3 pictures here. So local to global before starting who we are. Here is a little, really, really small city called Serrinha in Bahia State, that they have many out-of-school children in rural area, and they are really commitment on bringing these children back to school. And the Secretary of Education of the city starts doing this call for the families in the enrollment time. So this picture shows a little bit our local work. I don't know if you heard about last December, we have a phenomenon in Brazil that many students occupy schools. So they were not out of schools, but they didn't want to be in that school. They were enrolled because the government tried to impose some curriculum changes, changing the schools, the students, that without thinking about the geography of São Paulo city. And they went to the streets, they occupied schools, and they won. So the government changed the measure, and it was a beautiful movement with respect. When we say they occupy schools, they made a new kind of curriculum, so this picture shows a lot. And there, we were in a closed-door meeting in Geneva at the CRC, the Committee on the Rights of the Child. We got this last September. We wrote to the committee saying before the state review that we have some points really important to be raised and updated. And they received us, and for our surprise, 3 hours before we had this meeting, they only gave us 45 minutes to present, and they include in every question to the state the points we raised, and I will talk a little bit about it. So here, 16 years of political incidents result in important achievements, and I will talk here about cost of initial quality education per student and about the National Education Plan law. So here we go. And then who we are. As I told you, we work in a network. We are founded by UNICEF, UNESCO, different donors, ActionAid also. And here, our governance is joint with 11 organizations. All the decisions making are done through these 11 organizations, and we have a small team as the general coordinator where I belong to, and more 5 people now. And then we work with voluntaries in 25 regional committees where they do the political work. You may ask, how do you do that? So our organization is meant to monitor the right to education. So in Brasilia, the capital, we go daily at the National Congress monitoring law, but in local areas, we also have some volunteers monitoring the law locally and making pressure lobby with the deputies locally. So it's really local to global, because I showed you the picture in Geneva. In Geneva, it was really important because the committee, the UN, heard us. But more than that, we pressured the government in Geneva to achieve results locally in Brazil. So we always try to spread this message that if we are here today in Asia, of course it's to exchange with you all the experience, but we have to bring something back. This is the main priority. And telling the government that we are saying exchange experience in Southeast Asia help us a lot. So when I say pressure, it's not because we are always against the government, but we are monitoring. So this kind of strategy works well. So putting the picture in Asia sounds really simple, but help us to get achievements nationally. So this is one of our priorities. And then here I tell a little bit a story. For 4 years, we were working in the implementation of the National Education Plan law. So now it sets 20 goals, and it was a really hard process with the civil society trying to guarantee sustainable financial for education, calling the name of the table here, because in Brazil, how the financial of education works today. We have taxes, and this fund goes for the municipalities and the states, and the cities receive as the amount of students. For example, I have an amount of money, doesn't matter the number of the students I have to divide, and I get the fund for the minimal cost of student. What we proposed and passed in law is an inversion of this logical. What do we mean with that? We cannot accept that, oh, okay, this is the amount we have, so we have to do the best we can with that. No, education has a cost, and our colleague was telling about structure before. Yes, we need schools that bathrooms are so basic, but this has a cost. So the Brazilian campaign did a really deep study on how much a public school to offer a minimal quality standard cost. And then we propose this inversion of the logical. We say how much is the minimum of the cost that we accept. When I say we, of course, it's based on this study and all the items that passed in the law. And then the municipalities, they need to invest this minimal amount per student, but many times they don't have this, and then the union, the state, has to complement this money. So we are living an economic crisis in Brazil right now. It's a very difficult moment to ask the state for more money when it's cutting, but passing law, the Committee on the Rights of the Child include this in their recommendations. So now this law must be implemented. So how can we do it? And then I will explain a little bit more for you. But one important thing is that in the law we passed, we call CACI, is the cost per student. Initial is minimal standard. And then in 10 years, we want to achieve the CACI without the letter I of initial. That means comparative investment with development countries and other issues that we found out in the study. And then, so we passed the law, and now we will complete the second year of the National Education Plan, and every year we are monitoring it. So, CACI, cost of initial quality education per student. We start planning this in the Brazilian campaign since 2007. And since 2002, we had workshops and work groups thinking, how must be this quality education? And then, before going to the curriculum discussion, we thought we need to solve minimal infrastructure issues as bathrooms, as having teachers with a fair salary, and few items that we think we found out they are really important to have a democratic management in school and the implementation of the curriculum. So, CACI, before getting into law, it was a really hard process. We approved these results of this study in national conference. The Brazilian government, since the government of President Lula, held a national conference that thousands of people can deliberate about education, and this we have a final document that influenced the law. So, but we had a problem of timing with the conference, so the law passed before one of the conference was held, but we made the effort and we got to put it into law. Okay, and then we say CACI represents a minimum standard of quality in daycare centers, preschool, elementary schools, and secondary schools in urban rural areas, quilombos where Afro-descendants live, and also indigenous community. And here I will show you. So how is this calculus done? We take into account number of students per class, so less students, we have more quality education, because in Brazil, especially in urban areas, we have class full of students and the teacher cannot manage that. Salary, it's a high point of this calculus. Quality infrastructure, and then we have a website that you can check every single detail, libraries, toys, books, bathroom, and every item the schools need to have, with a price list, with really deep research, so the government and the municipalities can use this. And then, so that's why we say CACI, initial, and then progressively the cost we want to achieve. And now we have the challenge for this year, because in the law, now, 2016, we have to include all preschool students that are out of school. We know it will be hard to achieve this goal this year, but implementing CACI, building new schools, we think it's a way to include these out-of-school children. And then we are having budget cuts. And then this text was delivered to the Committee on the Rights of the Child, and they include part of it in their recommendation to Brazil that, okay, we understand you have to do the budget cuts, but you need to respect the budget for education and especially infrastructure. We had cuts of 9.2 billion of reais that affect the construction of preschools. At the same year, we have to achieve the goal of including all children, so it's really hard to do it. If we take CACI implemented, we need 37 billion reais. And then you probably is thinking, how are you going to get this money? So one thing is trying to protect the annual budget without suffering the cuts. And also we did this, sorry, I will just jump here. The Oil Royalties to Education law is something that I would show the video, but because time issues, I can present. So while we built CACI, we also were fighting for having this law that we can use the Oil Royalties to Education, the money for education, and then to complement CACI and have this fair quality per student in municipalities. So, 2013 law. So we have 75% of oil royalties for education and of pre-salt of social fund. Later I can share with you the video that explains exactly how this law works and how this pre-salt oil was founded and how this money will go for education in a really detail. Here, I also want to share with you that in partnership with UNICEF, we have a website, is foradascolanãopode.org, out of school cannot, something like that, translated into Portuguese. It's a campaign that since 2010, we are doing in Brazil. So in this website, you can access per city how many schools, how many children are out of school, per gender, family income, and also urban and rural area. Well, this was a great achievement because the municipalities can search per city and prepare their plans, and because in Brazil we also have the National Education Plan law, and now they are passing the Municipalities Education Plan law. It's only to show you that we had more than 10 years building this logical of calculus to have a fair infrastructure school. But we also work a lot with advocacy in the Congress, in the states, to have this kind of advocacy campaign to raise, to promote the awareness in the cities, because it's a joint effort to get the law implemented. That picture, we take the banners in the cities, and then the mayors, they signed making this commitment. In my city, we will fight for not having out-of-school children. For example, that city is one little city in Amazon, the forest, and there is 2,143 out-of-school children. So this provides a really good idea. And only to finalize here, see, that picture with the mayors, we did this kind of advocacy action. They made the document, make the commitment. 1 year after that act, we received letters from the city, Serrinha, that they put intersectors, authorities to look for the children and their family that were out of school. And they had a great achievement to find out where were these children. And this is one of the teachers doing this kind of enrollment call. And they found out many of the children were in child labor at these rural areas with, I don't know how to translate, but it's kind of a product in Brazil that we do domestic cleaning products. I'm sorry, I don't know the word. And they produce this in rural areas. And then the children, a part of the children was there in child labor. So a really simple thing like that got to find out the children. Of course, we need to keep them in the school and have a school with good access, but anyway, this is only one example. And then I use the quotation of the event. Within Shaon Declaration, we commit with a sense of urgency to a single, renewed education agenda that is holistic, ambitious, and aspirational, leaving no one behind. And the better example is Serrinha. So as we did standing up, let's put together our voice out loud in summit at Serrinha City. Thank you so much. I hope I did it in the time.